called their injuries non-life threatening. For a few of the neighbors we spoke with, it's enough to make them want to pack up and leave the street they call home.
If anything happens to me now and then, if the neighborhood is not quiet, we're selling.
If you know anything about what happened during the shooting, you were asked to reach out to Newport News Police.
Peace and blessings to everybody. If you're not familiar with this case, you're not familiar who Solomon Simmons is. He is the officer named in killing Donovan Lynch. So we actually have caught wind that he is back on the force. Not even back on the force. He never left the force. And we actually have an individual on the phone now that who actually has a family member who was arrested by Solomon Simmons. Again, Solomon Simmons is the officer named in Donovan Lynch's murder. Solomon Simmons also violently arrested the leader of BLM 757 during a peaceful protest. He's been apparently acquitted of his charges, and he is back on the force. So we're going to try to get this family member on the line now. The city of Virginia Beach isn't doing anything to remedy this situation. So let me see.
Tomorrow night, cities across Hampton Roads will take back the community, all as part of National Night Out. It's part of a nationwide campaign to strengthen police and community relations.
So let me see if we're going to be able to do this simultaneously. We're going to bring them on now. Just 1 second. There we go. You here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Let me see if we can actually go live on Facebook as well. And yes, and so if you could just at least just start off with where, what city this took place and around the time it took place, and then we'll go a little bit further as we can into this situation.
Okay, so it happened around like the Virginia Beach, Virginia, around the ocean front. It took place around midnight on June 26th, 2022. It started off as a traffic stop and ended up being an arrest made for my fiance and his cousin.
Okay, and do you know the charges surrounding that case?
So my husband was charged with having a gun as a convicted felon. His cousin was charged with 3 counts of trying to get rid of evidence and 2 counts of having a gun as a convicted felon as well.
Okay, and so according, so how did you, and do you have the name of the officers who were on this case?
Only have the one most important one, which is Officer Solomon Simmons. That's who initiated the arrest, who pulled over my husband. Well, fiance.
Sorry. Just setting up one more thing. And have you had contact with them since then?
I'm always in contact with my fiance every day. I get in contact with his cousin's mom, who's always in contact with her son. The Virginia Beach Police Department, no, they're very rude and very disrespectful. They didn't even want to give me the officer name when the case when they first got arrested.
Did they give any particular reason why?
No, we had to literally do our own digging. They did not want to give. They said, first they said a lot of people been calling about this case, and it was just me and their family. Like literally, it was just me, his cousin's mother, his cousin's sisters, and that's pretty much it. We was calling back to back because nobody wanted to give up his name, and that's all we really wanted.
So, do you happen to know the particular district that this took place in,
Uh,
or what precinct? What precinct was handling this? What Virginia Beach precinct was handling this?
if I'm not mistaken, it's precinct 3.
Precinct 3.
Yes, that's the one that we had to. It was either the or the second precinct. I'm not really for sure. I don't have the information all in front of me right now,
Was it
but
closer to the beach?
yes, it
Oh,
was. It
okay, yeah, that's more likely the second precinct, and that's the precinct that Solomon Simmons worked for during the murder. And I guess we don't even have to say alleged murder anymore. He murdered him and got away with it.
yeah,
The grand jury decided that he didn't have to go to court. If one or any of us murder somebody, I guarantee you we will not have it as easy as to have it thrown out before even seeing a judge and back on the force and able to conduct these searches. And so from your understanding, did anything unusual happen during this traffic stop?
yes, definitely unusual. So it started off as a traffic stop. My fiance, he was driving the car because my little cousin wasn't really able to drive at the time. Yes, they were under the influence, but they were on their way home, and they never got pulled over for like reckless driving or anything like that, or DUI or anything like that. Um, he kept asking, is there any weapons in the car? Is there any weapons in the car? My husband kept saying no. Uh, everybody else in the car, it was only 2 other people in the car. They kept saying no. Well, one wanted to act like he was asleep. Then his cousin was saying no, there's no weapons in the car. And then he was like, all right, he's been asking for information. He told my husband's hand was on the outside of the car. He's used to this before. He's been arrested before, so he knows how this goes. And the officer, Solomon Simmons, told him to put his hands back in the vehicle. Like, no, he was like, no, I'm not about to put my hands back in the vehicle because you're gonna say I'm reaching for something, and I'm not.
Right.
So that happened, and then he went walking back and forth. Like they pulled over. They did what he said and pulled over. And then Solomon Simmons walked back and forth up the street and stuff like that. And he found some guns and basically talking about is these your guns? It's like, no, they're not ours. He said he found 2 guns in bushes.
Hmm.
And he
That's crazy. But go ahead. I'm gonna hold my thought.
He said that no, these guns aren't ours. Like, I don't know where they're from. They're not ours. Mind you, the other person in the back seat is acting like he's asleep. So they're asking these 2, like, who guns are there? It's like, they're not ours. There's nothing in the car. Y'all can look at the car. They looked at the car, everything. It was cleared. Nothing was in the car. Then they talking about then Officer Solomon Simmons, he told my husband, he told him this arrest could go very differently. This could go a whole nother way. And I was on the phone because my husband had FaceTime me, to make sure that I knew what was going on. He said this could go a whole nother way. And he was like, now hang up the phone. So he told me that he was going to call me back. And the next time he ended up calling me back, he was sitting beside Solomon Simmons in the car, handcuffed.
Wow. And so for those of y'all don't know, again, Solomon Simmons is the Virginia Beach police officer responsible for murdering Donovan Lynch. Solomon Simmons also violently arrested the leader of BLM 757 on September 5th of 2020 during a peaceful protest. And he told the activist while he was in jail that he wouldn't be going out, that this would be going a certain way. So he has a pattern of this. And then also in the case of Donovan Lynch, there was a quote unquote stuff found in the bushes. Very shortly after the murder took place, the Virginia Beach City cleared out all of those bushes. It was over 6 feet worth of bushes that were in the air in that area. And like all of this has to make sense. And so we're asking more and more people if you had any interactions with Officer Solomon Simmons. He also arrested other peaceful protesters during the 2020 protests. He was said to already have, anger issues. during the day of the during the actual killing that he shot his gun for. He disobeyed orders. He was supposed to be going following behind a paramedic that from a gunshot victim. Instead, he got out of his car trying to be like Action Jackson, and that's when he ultimately ended up murdering Donovan Lynch because he didn't follow orders to follow a gunshot victim of an ambulance to a car. He had his car in the middle of the road, blocking traffic, and got out the car, and his body cam just so happened to not work. And have you been able to obtain any body cam footage from this actual stop, may I
No,
ask?
no, nobody has. His cousin's mother has actually finally sent in the form, and she hasn't gotten anything back. Both of their lawyers have requested for the form back at the end of June, and they said they haven't received anything yet.
And so this has been going on, you said, since the beginning of June?
This has been going on since June 26, 2022 at 12 o'clock at night. They
June
were on
26th.
their way home.
Yeah. And so do you think that this may have been some type of case of stop and frisk?
Yes, of course. You gonna sit there and ask that man, and then on top of that, my husband, my fiance is not all the way there. He does have mental disabilities, and it's very known. Like it's really known, and for you to just like kind of it reminded me so much of like Central Park, but just with one person.
Right.
You just made this man tell him what you wanted him to say just so you could make an arrest, all because you
Yeah.
was holding your gun.
Yeah. And so, in a situation like this, we're sorry you having to go through this, but in this situation with them, this is something that they keep on doing, and they're justifying it, and they're putting these charges on people. And let us remind everybody who may be tuned in or may be watching this later on the replay that they actually never got to the case where they were supposed to be doing. They never showed us any body cam footage. They never showed us any legitimate footage of what we were supposed to be trying to see. And so, this is a very scary tactic. And let's not forget that Virginia Beach, just right before, what's the name? Mark Herring was taken over during the, I'm sorry, I get my thoughts together. Taken over as the head attorney of Virginia, he discovered at least 5 cases of falsified rape kits for individuals in the Virginia Beach judicial system. Now, this is actual proof that they took individuals in the interrogation room. They falsified documents and brought them into the interrogation room and showed them to people and said, hey, we have your DNA on this sex scene. And if you don't confess to doing it, then you're going to get the maximum, which was anywhere from 20 years to life in prison. Or if you just tell us that you did it, we'll just go ahead and give you, a lighter sentence. And so imagine being in custody of law enforcement. They show you a piece of paper saying that your DNA was found at some rape scene. And you are, what do you do at that point? You're literally in their hands, and they're telling you, well, you can either tell us the truth, which is already the truth, or you can tell us what we want to hear so we can get somebody off the street and quote unquote close the case. So this just happened this year as well. All this corruption that we're talking about. And then I'm going to take everybody to the beginning of everything because we just like people to know the totality of situations. So Virginia Beach is notorious for murdering black people and getting away with it, notorious for locking black people up and get away with it for no reason. So we're going to take you back to 1989, and that was Greek Fest when college students were beat in 1989, which is why our generation never wants to go to, our system never wants to go. That's why our older generation never wants to go to the Virginia Beach oceanfront because of what happened during Greek Fest. Fast forward to 2003, 17-year-old Demario Joyner was shot in the back of the head at the Virginia Beach nightclub that was known as the quote-unquote original beach house. And then in 2015, India Kager, an unarmed Navy veteran, was killed by the Virginia Beach SWAT team. We have been fighting for that case into fruition. Matthew Russian and Champ Turner were locked up around the same time in 2019 and 2018 Matthew Russian was in a non-fatal car accident, and he was sentenced to 10 years. Champ Turner was defending himself and called the police on a white man, and he got 10 years. Long story short, we wrote petitions for both of them, and we marched for both of them, and both of them are out of prison. That is in the Virginia Beach judicial system. Then fast forward to when BLM 757 organizer was violently arrested while marching for India Kager with the family of India Kager, with the family of Champ Turner, with the family of Matthew Russian, with the family of Demario Joyner. They chose to arrest us for peacefully protesting. In 2020 as well, Coleman Sample was shot and killed by the Virginia State Police in Virginia Beach, and they cleared that officer of all wrongdoing. After that violent arrest of Jafari and other activists the summer of 2020, Solomon Simmons then goes and murders Donovan Lynch on March the 26th of 2021. When we say that the flags, when the writing was on the wall, when we say that this could have been avoided, we mean that to the highest degree. And now to add insult to injury, Solomon Simmons is back on the force terrorizing black people, and none of the city council is doing anything about it. We haven't been able to hear from any city council since we had pretty much made every single appearance in 2020 to every city council meeting. We spoke at every single open forum. We spoke at every agenda item. We marched, we prayed, we cried, we attended funerals, we wrote our legislators, we voted, we lobbied, and none of it worked. So at this time, we definitely need the world to know that Solomon Simmons is still on the force in the Virginia Beach oceanfront. If you've had any interactions with Solomon Simmons in the Virginia Beach oceanfront, please let us know. We're filing a FOIA request. We're also going to be filing for class action because they are filing negligence. So it's going to be very important that you know what date it happened. Email blacklivesmatter757@gmail.com with the subject line Virginia Beach Police class action Solomon Simmons. If you look around the world, people are getting justice in every other city but here. People are getting justice in Richmond. People are getting justice in Minneapolis. People are getting justice everywhere where First Amendment protesters had their rights violated. It's time for Virginia to get its justice. So we're going to be tagging Tamika Mallory, Ben Crump, Sean King, NAACP, CQ, every single change agent that's black, because we need them here in the 757. So was there anything else in this case, and so what is needed now? Can you tell us the conditions? Do you have to pay to feed them? Do they give them 3 healthy meals a day, or how's their well-being in the actual jail?
They literally just changed their meal schedule, so they'll be getting breakfast at the same time at like 4, 6 o'clock in the morning. They'll be having dinner at 12, 1 o'clock, and then they'll get a lunch back around 6 o'clock. So yeah, we're gonna have to keep feeding them, and on top of that, we're gonna have to get a lawyer, because every time we tell this lawyer either one of their lawyers new information, it's like they don't know what to do with it. Especially my fiance's lawyer. She's acting like she does not know what to do with it. So if anybody can, just please reach out and send me any information of a good lawyer that I can get. I mean, we don't have a lot of money, but hey, anything works, even if I could just get a quote. And that's what we need. I just want my baby home. My daughter misses her dad so very much.
Okay, we can get you a GoFundMe up and situated with that, and we also have their pictures. And so again, if there's any other information you would just like to let the people know, we can end this for now so we can get it on the channels. But we would definitely, like I said, be tagging all the local activists and national activists to help us with this, because there's no way that a cop can murder an unarmed black man in the streets and be on the force this quick and not on administrative leave. Somebody said Tyrone Johnson is a great lawyer, but we actually need multiple lawyers. We need a lawyer for this actual case, but we need lawyers who are not scared of Virginia Beach. We need lawyers who are going to go in here and fight for these families. There's no way, like I said, every single family that we named in Virginia Beach didn't get justice. And in our fight for this, a lot of times lawyers, they hear Virginia Beach and they literally run the other direction. Like, oh, we're not going out there. Oh, we're not going out there. How do we have lawyers in our state that are so scared of a tyrannical government that they won't even pick up cases in the city because they don't want it to go against their losing record, because they pretty much know that going to Virginia Beach is a loss?
Yeah, and it's crazy because I hit up former lawyers that we've dealt with before, because my fiance definitely had to have a paid lawyer before, and this man then charged us double this time than what it was last time because it's Virginia
Wow.
Beach.
Wow. So yes, we'll have these pictures up again. Like I said, we'll close this out, and let's say we'll have the replay. We'll be putting this on our YouTube as well and Twitter. If you've had any interactions with Solomon Simmons of the 2nd Precinct of Virginia Beach, and you're interested in filing a class action lawsuit against him and the city of Virginia Beach and the Virginia Beach City Council, because they're showing negligence. We have proof, we have video evidence, we have paperwork that we've followed the quote unquote rules of getting justice, and we've just been ignored. So in any situation when you ignore something and it leads to death or injury, that's called negligence. And when you hold the power that you do and you don't do anything to stop it, then we need to bring in outside forces. So if there are any lawyers that are not in the Virginia area willing to help us, if you're able to practice in Virginia, please let us know. We'll get this family a GoFundMe up for lawyers' expenses and things of that nature. And again, please inbox us. You can remain anonymous. If you have any instances of Solomon Simmons on the force, please let us know. We have a few videos of our own, and we will be dropping those videos probably today. So, was there anything else you just wanted to tell everybody? Other than that, let's say we'll just be, like I said, we'll get your GoFundMe started, and we'll keep everybody abreast of any upcoming court dates that may come.
Yeah, just keep these guys in your prayers. That's all I ask.
All right, y'all. So we're signing out, and we don't want to keep it too long. So we'll keep the video up for playback, and we'll be transferring it over to YouTube as well. Again, just to recap, this is Officer Solomon Simmons of the Virginia Beach Police Department. He is still on the force. He is the officer named in Donovan Lynch's murder, and that happened on March the 26th of 2021. Here we are in August of 2022, and he is back on the force. So, yeah, this is America. We need justice for Virginia. Peace and blessings to all.